Roll call.
Parker?
Here.
Miss Lunich?
Here.
Bergen?
Here.
Zittergrun?
Here.
Chisel?
Here.
Whittle?
Here.
Neal.
Here.
Item 3, public comment. If anyone wishes to address the council, please step forward. There should be a sign-in sheet up there. And you do have 3 minutes.
Hello, I am Rex Borseth. I am one of the owners of Games XP, and I'm here to talk about the Amazon Hub issue that I believe is agenda 14, item number 14. First off, I want to say thank you for all of you for being so eager and enthusiastic about growing our downtown. I was at the DNC meeting, and I heard all of the back and forth there. As an owner of a business that's doing the Amazon Hub, I heard a lot from you that were there of desire to keep the downtown area vibrant and growing, and to prevent this kind of a thing from damaging the business structure downtown. And I want to, I guess, present my case, for my business, that my business, this is not impacted our front-facing business. We do video games, we do Magic, we do Warhammer, and the Amazon portion of it has only fed into growing our other things, growing the things that we do. The milk deliveries, for us at least, they come through our back alley. They're stopped back there for maybe 5 minutes. It takes a few minutes for them to pull those packages out. Once we get them into the store, they're in and out typically within an hour. It's rare that they go over an hour, only on days where we have issues, or the milk truck, which is what the delivery is called, has issues and is late or something like that. Do they sometimes take longer to get out? Any customers that would see this going on would just see a few packages in the back of our store and an employee numbering them. As the rep at the DNC meeting mentioned, he honestly lowballed a little bit, 50 packages. That's about what you can expect to see. And oftentimes a lot of them are bags. Sometimes they're just little bags, and so it's not like big boxes for every single one. And so I just want to implore you to help us continue to grow our business, at least, and the other 3 businesses, that are also doing this downtown, as I believe it does not impact their front-facing business, but only helps to grow their front-facing business. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Rex.
Is there anyone else who'd like to make a public comment?
I pre-wrote my
Thank
name.
you. Appreciate that.
My name is Anna Linnell, and I live at 301 West Day Spring Lane in the apartments, which are commonly called the Woolen Mill Apartments. There are many of us that live downtown, some of us who live in what we call the North Alley. And for those of us who do live in the North Alley right now, it's kind of under construction time. Yeah. And I know you folks are probably going to go home and feel very comfortable opening your windows and going to sleep with your windows open. And unfortunately, I'm going to go home and have to sleep with my windows closed because there's a sump pump that turns on at random hours throughout the night. So living in the North Alley currently, because that is my home. Right now, we don't know when those guys are going to start the job. We don't know when those guys are going to kickoff for the day. We all pray that it's a great weekend. Hey, if it's a holiday weekend, all the better, right? And rain can only be better, but there's that sump pump thing going on too. So it's one or the other. So living in the North Alley, in the Woolen Mill Apartments, there are, I counted, let's see, 3, 6, 9 units that are affected by this because they all face the north. But I know that there are apartments over the businesses that are the Water Street businesses. I know that there are Airbnbs right next door to some of those apartments. I know that that's killing some of those businesses. So knowing some of those concrete things, when they're going to start during the day, when they're going to kick off at night, knowing whether or not that sump pump is actually going to go on, that goes a long way to really drawing back, the level of, just kind of smoothing it out for all of us. Yeah. So.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Can I ask a quick question, Ivana?
Yeah.
In terms of communication, what do you think would be the best method? I mean, if we can orchestrate something to that matter.
That's a really great question because I don't have a subscription to the newspaper. But a subscription to the having something in the paper would be great. I don't know, maybe a letter to the landlords and having the landlords kind of having them tell their renters. I don't know.
Okay.
And
I don't have
you,
that answer.
If you were to leave your phone number with me, someone can follow up with you on this.
Oh, yeah.
I'd like to make sure that we follow up on it, but we're probably not going to solve all the problems.
Oh,
here,
yeah.
So,
Absolutely.
if you want to hand it to me after, after the meeting or whenever, that'd be great.
Sure.
Or just,
Actually, I'm probably going to leave,
Great.
but you can always find me at the co-op.
sounds good. Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you. Thanks for
All right.
letting us know.
Thank
this.
you. Appreciate
Thank
that. All right. Item 4, visit Decorah tourism report. Alyssa?
Hi, everyone. As most of you know, I'm Alyssa Ritter with Visit Decorah Tourism. And since 2022, I've had the privilege of working on behalf of Decorah and Winneshiek County to share the stories, the experiences, and the opportunities that make our community such a special place to visit, but also to call home. This work is carried out in partnership with the Decorah Area Chamber of Commerce and Winneshiek County Development and Tourism. Tonight, I'm here to briefly highlight for all of you our tourism efforts, the recognition our community continues to receive, and the partnerships that help make this a success overall. Decorah and Winneshiek County, as you all know, they both continue to stand out as a destination because of the strengths that we already have here. Our outdoor recreation opportunities, our vibrant downtown, our locally owned businesses, exceptional restaurants, rich cultural experiences, community events, and the natural beauty of the Driftless region. Visitors continue to tell us that they appreciate our trails, the river, our museums, our local food opportunities, our historic character, our walkability, our bikeability, our friendliness, and our quality of life that allow them to picture what it might be like to live here one day. They also come to experience the destinations and organizations that, of course, have helped put Decorah on the map, including Vesterheim, Seed Savers Exchange, Toppling Goliath, our trail system, our trout fishing opportunities, and the Upper Iowa River. As a result, Decorah has continued to earn recognition from respected tourism and media organizations. In 2022, Travel Iowa selected Decorah as one of only 4 inaugural communities to be selected as part of the Soul of Iowa campaign. And since then, our community has been featured in regional and national publications, travel media, television programming, and destination-focused storytelling efforts that continue to expand awareness of our area. Most recently, Travel Iowa selected Decorah as one of only 6 communities to include at U.S. Travel's IPW, a premier inbound travel trade show looking at foreign visitors coming to visit the United States. This recognition reflects more than good marketing. It's not just because of what Visit Decorah or our other organizations are doing. It reflects a community that has invested in its park, its trail systems, its downtown, its cultural institutions, its local businesses, its events, agriculture, and quality of life for decades, not just this year alone. And many of today's travel trends also align naturally with what Decorah already offers. Recent travel trends show that travelers are seeking authentic experiences, outdoor recreation, local foods, meaningful connections, and opportunities to slow down and connect. Decorah and Winneshiek County are exceptionally positioned for these interest areas. Tourism also creates meaningful economic impact. Visitor spending supports local restaurants, retailers, lodging properties, attractions, farms, and service providers while generating revenue that benefits the broader community. None of this happens in isolation. Our success is made possible through strong local, regional, state, and international partnerships, from our collaboration with local businesses and organizations to partnerships with Travel Iowa, our state tourism office, and Viking Cruise Line. These relationships help elevate Decorah's profile and bring new visitors to our community every single day and every single year. Ultimately, tourism is not just about attracting visitors. It's about supporting local businesses, strengthening community pride, enhancing quality of life, and sharing the story of a place we all care deeply about. So to conclude, I have a few sheets to pass around to each of you, just with a summary of some of the things I shared and more. And I also am honored to present to Mayor Carlson and to the entire City Council one of our community's most recent recognitions, and that would be Midwest Living's 2026 Best of the Midwest Award for Best Small Towns. Decorah.
Woo!
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Alyssa.
Thank you.
That's pretty awesome.
Look at you.
He didn't have a flash get down there.
Thank you very much. Appreciate that.
Thank you, sir.
All right, item 5, City Manager, Department Head, and Council reports.
Before you guys go, though, I do want to say thank you.
Yeah.
Because it takes a village, but you guys are amazing. Thank you.
Absolutely.
You didn't.
All right.
They didn't mention the golf outing on Monday.
So one other thing I did want to extend that thank you to, as well as that was left out, was staff as well. Staff does a tremendous amount of the work to keep our community the way it is as well. So I want to acknowledge staff's efforts there with that award. Other update I want to give, as a reminder, the Downtown Economic Development Grant Program, that application window is open. Those applications are due Monday the 4th, June 22nd, so that's next Monday, 4:00 p.m. I already have a couple in, and so I encourage downtown business owners. I held a coffee kind of informal meeting on a couple of different projects that are possibly out there that I don't have applications yet. So I do expect to see a few more roll in. And then actually I'll turn it over to the department heads and have the rest of them go ahead and give updates for their departments. Not all of them, certain ones. And yes, I will let Chopper talk. Zach.
I guess I'm representing the fire department tonight. I just wanted to give the council an update. We did have last Wednesday the pinning of another probationary firefighter to a full-time volunteer firefighter, and that was John Smorstead. So one thing that we've done recently in the last 2 business meetings is do a pinning ceremony in front of the volunteer fire department. I think it is a big deal, and so we've just been doing it in-house as our own group. So we're looking forward. We have a couple more firefighters that will probably be getting that done shortly in the next couple months. So we're looking forward to that. But on the fire department side of things, that's the only thing I had. Thanks.
Thanks, Zach.
Thanks, Zach.
Go ahead, Mark.
All right, thank you for the opportunity to share a little bit about a project at the swimming pool that we need to communicate better. As you know, we've been focusing on surfaces pretty heavily, from Dunning Springs stairs to turf to a lot of different surfaces around the system. And at the pool, there's an opportunity to work on the new playground surface. So we've replaced mulch, safer surface there. Also worked on the border of that as well. And then right next to it, we had some older play equipment that was removed, and we're restoring that area. The larger area of sand, we're removing that, and to make room for shade structures, seating, and just restoring that area for operations for both the pool and parks, just to help us function better and provide some amenities that will be, I believe, appreciated by patrons out there that we're missing. And a couple examples of that would be solar tables that have charging stations, and just regular picnic seating that we can put some shade structures to have more of a passive area at the pool.
Awesome. Thanks, Mark.
Thanks, Mark. Appreciate that.
So to give a quick little update on the fiber project, they're just wrapping up in Zone 2, which is kind of the flats area. They should be done with that area probably by end of day tomorrow, and starting in Zone 3. And then after Zone 3, then they're going to be kind of splitting between Zone 4, keep wrapping clockwise around town, and then simultaneously getting into downtown right after Nordic Fest is the plan at this point. So Zone 3 should take them construction-wise right up till Nordic Fest or right after that, and then you'll see combination work happening in Zones 4 and Zone 1. So it's been going very well and fast in the other areas. Downtown will really slow them up. There's a lot of things that they got to work around and things like that down there. So that's about it. Thanks.
Thank you, Chopper.
Thanks, Chopper.
Chopper, can I ask you 2 questions? Chopper. How many zones are there? So when you say we're like at 3 or 4,
there's 10 zones
Okay.
Throughout the entire town. So like there'll be 10 there'll be a cabinet in each zone, and then they all come back and then it's feed at the library.
Got it. Cool. And then really important, are you sure it's the flats and not the flat?
I have no idea. Thanks.
Go ahead.
Thank you, Denise, for getting my joke.
I want to share a little bit with you guys. I'm not sure how familiar you are with the FBI National Academy. This is a professional course of study for U.S. and international law enforcement managers nominated by their department heads or agency managers for demonstrated leadership qualities. It's a 10-week program which provides coursework in intelligence theory, terrorism and terrorist mindsets, management science, law, behavioral science, law enforcement communication, and forensic science. It serves to improve the administration of justice in police departments and agencies at home and abroad, and to raise law enforcement standards, knowledge, and cooperation worldwide. Leaders and managers of state, local, county, tribal, military, federal, and international law enforcement agencies attend the FBI National Academy. It should be noted that participation is by invitation only through a nomination process. It's kind of a big deal. Only 1% of law enforcement ever gets the opportunity to attend. It's a really big deal. Sessions include approximately 265 officers. That also includes up to 35 international students who take undergraduate and or graduate courses at the FBI Academy campus provided by University of Virginia. Classes are offered in a diverse set of areas, and officers participate in a wide range of leadership and specialized trainings. Officers share ideas, techniques, experiences with each other and create lifelong partnerships that transcend state and national borders. The final test of the physical challenge, the Yellow Brick Road. It's a grueling 6.1 mile run through a hilly wooded trail built by the United States Marine Corps. Along the way, the participants must climb over walls, run through creeks, jump through simulated windows, scale rock faces with ropes, crawl under barbed wire in muddy water, which was pretty gross, maneuver across a cargo net, and more. When and if these students complete this difficult test, they receive an actual yellow brick to memorialize their achievement. As an attendee and subsequent graduate of Session 283, I share all of this with you to let you know that Captain Mandy Groth has been accepted into this program to attend April 7th, 2027, and graduating June 16th, 2027. Again, 1% of law enforcement gets the opportunity to attend, so what an honor. We share seating with Nebraska, so it's a challenge. Your application could sit in queue for years. I have two people, Mandy is one, and we have another sergeant who has their application in queue right now. So we're very excited for Mandy and the opportunities this can bring and the level of networking and partnerships this means for Decorah as well for her and our department. So just wanted to share that with you.
Awesome.
Thanks
Thank
so
you,
much.
Chief. Appreciate that.
All right, and last up, John, if you want to provide a little bit of update on College Drive Bridge.
Alrighty, so the College Drive Bridge is impacting most of Decorah, as you know. You may have driven across there. There are 2 lanes that are currently open on the east side of the bridge. Work will continue to reconstruct the approach paving on the 2 southbound lanes. They've got the north half done. They'll be doing the south half soon. So this is an interesting thing for us to know. As you know, there's been a bump as you go across that expansion joint. And so the cause of that is water and the salt solution and just salt in general coming off of the bridge structure, going down the expansion joint and getting underneath the existing slab, so that the existing slab was starting to deteriorate from the bottom up. So as that powderized, then it would the top of the bridge surface would settle. The WHKS bridge inspector that came over gave us a suggestion for how we can reduce that deterioration going on in the future. The new bridge seat is going to be about 3 inches wide. It's filled within a black crumb rubber. It's shredded tires kind of thing, and then what we do is the top inch is we put in a kind of a silicone gray sealant, and what they say is that we need to keep an eye on that, and once the sealant starts pulling away from the concrete, then you need to rip it out and put the sealant back on. So that hopefully is going to be one of the things that my successor, because it's good that sealant should last for a decade, 10 years or so. That sealant just should be part of the biannual bridge inspections to make recommendations on repairing that. So that's the story there. We are going to be repairing the bridge, the edges of the bridge to reduce the kind of any sort of ragged edge of the bridge there. We won't be doing the entire width. We'll be doing it in select areas, the worst of the worst. My guess we were put behind the schedule a little bit here this last couple of weeks due to the weather. I would think that the week of July 22nd that the lane shift would occur, and so that the other two lanes would be utilized for traffic while the the northeast and southeast approaches are reconstructed. I suspect that completion on the College Drive Bridge will be sometime mid-July, of course, pending weather. If there's no questions or any comments on that, I'm going to move on to what Anna was just talking about. I went out and I spoke with Anna. Anna and I grew up in the same neighborhood, in the Phelps Park neighborhood, and so I've known her since she was 3. So I went out and did a little PR out on the front steps of the building there. Yes, road construction does involve noise, and there's no getting around that. It just is what it is. There is a noise ordinance that extends from 7 in the morning, from 10 p.m. at night through 7 o'clock in the morning. And we will make a point of reminding Brunings that they should avoid revving their engines and doing much work before 7 o'clock in the morning. Typically, they like to work till about 6:30 at night, and one of the things that Anna said is that the things that irritates her is the scraping up of the gravel at the end of the job day and so on like that. It's just, but that's occurs at about this time right here, not during sleeping hours, and I get that, but that's a function of dirt and gravel and stuff that's on the road. It's unfortunate, but it's a temporary setback like that. So what I told her is the pump noise is a result of the sanitary sewer line that's being reconstructed behind the John Klein School. That is, there's an existing 18-inch reinforced clay pipe, vitrified clay pipe that is that's being replaced and upgraded to a 21-inch plastic pipe for the sanitary sewer trunk line, the old sanitary sewer trunk line that runs back there. That will provide a much better grade for conducting sanitary sewer through that. But in order to not have the sewage back up, you've got to keep the pipe clear of sewage and your the groundwater from not building up and so on like that. So that's where the random nature of the pumps kick on. I'll see what's possible as far as minimizing that noise with Skyline, but what I would say is that that process, that type of work will only be around for the next couple of weeks, and then it'll be gone. Then as far as the rest of the schedule goes, I would say that the main line paving is going to be done end of July, beginning of August. They're going to have a couple of months worth of tie-ins, and that would be the Court Street intersection, the roundabout here at River and Claiborne, various driveways that are going to be associated with the school project that are in the vicinity there, and then with a completion date in late October, late fall, pending weather. So I just, as long as Anna came up here, and I thought I would give you a brief update on that as well.
Thank you, John. Appreciate that.
One of the things that we did when we did Main Street, and I think we did it with another project, we actually had newsletters go to homeowners in that area. I don't remember how often we did it, but it was just a friendly update, like, hey, here's what you can expect this week, or here's what they're working on, or maybe they did it every week. I don't know, but I'm wondering if we couldn't do something similar. Sometimes easing people's frustration is just letting them know. Like, it's like going to the doctor and they're saying, like, we're going to do this and we're going to do this and then it'll be done, kind of thing.
We did.
It is helpful.
Yeah, we did really official ones for Locust.
Yep, and we
because
did
that
ones
was
for Locust.
Incredibly hard on driveways and things.
Yeah, I don't remember how often we did them, but I think that could go a long way for people living downtown.
Yeah, so we did them, I believe, bi-weekly
Okay.
on most of those projects. We ran into a string of them where we would do those newsletters and followed up immediately from the contractor the next day saying change of plans. Yeah.
I think that's okay. I do. I think that people just want to
I wish
know.
the public would think that. Was okay.
I think some communication is better than none, always. And I do. I mean, you can always put newsletter subject to change, but we heard from lots of people on Maine, and now that you bring it up, Locust, that really liked it.
Mhm.
They felt connected to the project, like they weren't forgotten in it. I don't know.
John, a question about the sealant on the edge of the bridge. In that replacement process, is that something we can do in-house, or is that something that we would need externals?
I guess that's to be determined. That's 10 years from now. It's to be determined. I really can't tell you,
But to that level, I think what maybe council, I don't mean to paraphrase, but what I'm getting at is this isn't something extremely difficult that's another must contract out.
No.
Yeah.
It's I think you could go out there with a quickie saw and remove most of it and so on like that, and then put the sealant back on. Probably the most expensive part of that operation would be the traffic control. So you guys that are out there, yeah.
I winked. We would use traffic.
And that's part of the reason that would have to be determined at some point in the future.
I hope it's not a problem for John to have to deal with. Retirements before that, right?
Well, I mean, 10 years from now, I'd be, 72, and so I'm just not holding my breath for that one.
Thanks, John. We appreciate it.
Thanks, John.
Thanks, John.
Any other department heads? Travis, Carrie, anybody? No? All right, I'll share quick. I did meet with the Fritzes, with Jim and Liz, Friday, June 5th. They're hopefully going to hear back from Alliant on June 24th with more guidance on the proposed solar array that they're looking at for the pavilion project. So hopefully we'll get some more information with regards to that. It did sound like maybe the hard deadline of July here is not going to be as hard as we thought, and it looks like maybe an extension of about a year, so that was good to hear. Travis and I did a webinar for the League of Cities Property Tax Reform on June 2nd with regards to Senate File 2472. Not going to lie, we were still left with a lot of questions, more questions than answers. We are going to meet with Representative Bergen this Friday, so hopefully he can maybe answer a few more questions for us. And how that's going to impact the city, the budget, everything moving forward. So we'll see what sort of information we can ascertain from that. Great news, Social Security office has been restaffed and is open, to my knowledge. I have not been down there yet. I should swing by and say hi. So we heard from a lot of Decorah residents that contacted us. Many, residents contacted me with regards to the office closing, and they felt that it was an essential service that was needed for all of our residents, especially our older residents. And I lobbied all of our federally elected officials to reopen the office. Congresswoman Ashley Hinson's office did engage in conversation with us and lobbied on our behalf to reopen the office, which it was. I received some not so pleasant emails for thanking them. As the mayor of Decorah, I will work the proper channels and chain of command regardless of who is in office to champion for our town and get what I believe we need. As far as me publicly thanking her and her staff, this was something that I was taught from a young age by my mother, that when someone does something nice for you, you thank them. So plain and simple, people don't need to look into that any more than what it was. I want to thank the department heads for letting me sit in this morning on their meeting. It was nice for me to kind of hear about all the great things that are happening in and around the city and gain a little more insight in how day-to-day operations are working. So thank you. As far as for what we got going on here, tomorrow night there is a Human Rights Commission listening session. There will be, to my knowledge, a presentation by DCIR, and then a public comment portion, and that starts at 6 tomorrow. Here at Council Chambers. So if you have time, swing by and either listen or give some feedback. Okay? Anyone else have anything to share?
No, I was going to add to your Social Security, and I had to look something up to make sure I had the name right, and then I threw my phone, so sorry. But I want to give kudos to the More Perfect Union documentary group. They're called More Perfect Newsroom. They featured Decorah. in this endeavor. And I think that is ultimately got some major traction for this. So I do want to give a shout out to Perfect Union and highly recommend people follow them in terms of they really are thinking about rural America and issues that affect them. And they're doing a great job reporting on news from not just Decorah, but all small towns around this country who are struggling. So shout out to More Perfect Union. Other than that, I don't have anything else. And sorry about that. I just want to make sure I had it right.
It's all good, Emily.
And I can vouch it was open last week on Monday. I went there and it was physically open.
Awesome. Good to hear.
Not to pull Social Security, but
Not yet.
no.
Anyone else have anything to share?
Keep on the weather, who's ever controlling the weather. It's been great. Thank you.
I just want to, not as a council member, but kind of in my private life, I help organize a annual paddle river race called the Driftless Paddle Battle, which was last weekend. And I want to extend my thanks to our public safety partners here in town who, didn't do anything. There was no emergency or anything, but it's always nice interacting with city staff in not as a council member, but as a member of the public and experiencing how responsive, professional, and pleasant they are to work with. So just a big thanks to our public safety partners and a similar set of thanks to Parks and Rec, who have been great conversation partners and cheerleaders for this race. Certainly appreciate you all as well. Thank you.
Just real briefly, sustainability meets on Wednesday, and just want to flag attention, council might be interested. One, there'll be a discussion on exploring low spray, no spray options that might be available to Decorah. So if you have done your own research and want to contribute ideas to that, I'm happy to steward them to the meeting. And then also going to be talking about some of the efforts in the sustainability plan to tie our decisions here about incentivizing residential build to promote sustainable green build. So I think that conversation started before I was on council. So if folks have ideas, opinions, we're going to talk about it Wednesday. So happy to hear them before then.
I have that draft. Do other councils have access to it? So it might be nice for other council to see that draft. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
What time was that meeting again?
5:45
At the library?
at the library. Yeah.
All right. Anyone else care to comment? All right, moving on. Item 6. Travis, could you give us a rundown of the consent agenda, please?
Sure. Item A, minutes of June 1, 2026, special meeting. B, claims. C, permanent premises update, Spirits Manufacturing, Toppling Goliath, Inc. D, temporary outdoor service amendment, Toppling Goliath, Inc. E, consider authorizing library maintenance bond project, exterior envelope. F, consider authorizing library exterior design contract. G, resolution approving change order number 1 for the Decorah Municipal Airport Solar Array Project. H, resolution approving pay application number 1 for the Decorah Municipal Airport Solar Array Project. I, resolution acknowledging receipt of voluntary annexation application and authorizing voluntary annexation proceedings pursuant to Chapter 368 of the Code of Iowa. J, Cops and Rodders Car and Bike Show, PD and Elks Club for May 15th, 2027. Do want to note that is not in conflict with Mother's Day, Luther commencement, or the high school commencement for those keeping track at home. K, Decorah 2025 Street Improvements Chip Seal Project Change Order Number 2. L, Decorah 2025 Street Improvements Chip Seal Project Pay Application Number 3, final. M, resolution and final acceptance of work for Decorah 2025 Street Improvements Chip Seal Project. N, Decorah 2026 Hively Street Intersection Improvements Project, Pay Application Number 2. O, amended Iowa Scholastic Mountain Bike Camp and Race Special Event. P, College Drive Bridge Improvements Change Order Number 2. Q, tax abatement for Alex Giselson. Thank you. It was right there, too. I practiced this morning. 608 East Main Street, new construction. And R, reappointment of Shannon Horton to the library board. Term expires 7/1 of 2032.
Mayor Carlson requests to remove J from the consent agenda.
Granted. Okay.
I also am gonna have to abstain from voting on the entirety of the consent agenda if C and D remain, because I have a conflict of interest with them being my employer.
Okay. You said J. Yeah. Okay. All right. Can I get a motion to approve the consent agenda minus J?
So moved.
Okay. Motion by Zittigruin. Can I get a second?
I'll second.
Is that Cody?
Yep.
Okay. Second by Whittle. Roll call.
Zittergruen?
Aye.
Whittle?
Aye.
Parker?
Aye.
Misselnich? Abstention. Bergen?
Aye.
Neal?
Aye.
Or sorry, Chisel?
Aye.
Neal?
Okay, motion passes. Item J, Cops and Riders Car and Bike Special or Show Special Event, PD Elks Club 5/15/27.
I just wanted to flag an opportunity to discuss this and would like to propose that this is an event a year from now. And as I look around what's going on and per our department head updates, we've got a lot of streets closed for extended period of time. And I'd appreciate being able to consider this street closure request towards the end of the summer. It feels like there's plenty of time in order to make this decision and not pile on to our downtown businesses and the effects that they're receiving from all of the changes in traffic patterns.
So your preference is that we just think about this in 3 months,
Yeah,
which still would give
my
plenty of time.
preference would be to table it and to discuss it.
When we're on the other side of a messy construction season?
Yes.
All right.
Does anyone support that?
I don't. I think that's fine. I mean, I understand it. I think downtown businesses right now are just sort of feeling pained. I support this event, so it's not in any way that I don't support it. But I can see why this is a really early application for something that is in next May, and maybe things will change. So I think that's maybe what Johanna is trying to say, is that we don't usually get event applications this far in advance.
So the applicants submitted it. They were trying to do it as a save the date, essentially, for next year to kind of build up that queue for those that travel to these events.
Yeah, and I mean, I definitely understand and respect that that information was provided to us in the background notes. I think that there are a multitude of, there's strong support for the event from council. There's a multitude of places that it can occur in the community. I would encourage event organizers to put the date out there that it will be in Decorah. If we could preserve detailed decisions to some time in the future is my preference.
I think my preferred way going forward, given your concerns, might be considering the permit and even approving it. Elsewhere in the agenda, we have an amended permit request for organizers who want to change an event. We heard feedback as a council from business owners who had concerns about the effects of cops and routers on their business, and I think that's really important to put concerned business owners downtown in conversation with the organizers of this great event. And I'd like there to be time for that conversation to happen. To me, I don't know if it's a big deal whether that happens after we approve Jay or not. I expect and hope that event organizers will be open to conversation with folks who are affected by the event. So I guess my preference would be let's approve it, get the parties who are invested in this in a room to discuss with each other and see if they can find an amicable way forward. And if event organizers subsequently want to amend their event, that's fine. But in the meantime, I think it's good for us to signal to the community, hey, this is, this is, I actually really appreciate having a year's notice out for an event planning. I think I commend that to other organizations. It's nice to have the calendar fixed a little bit ahead of time. But that said, I hope that no one reads us approving this event, if that's the way things go tonight, as like us saying there's not openness to further dialogue further changes down the road. Having a year of lead time makes that possible.
If we approve it tonight, the event organizers have no reason to make any changes. So I disagree. I would move to table J and ask staff to return this to an agenda in August or September of this year.
Can I ask are you hoping for a change in place or just a conversation with business owners?
Yes, I am hoping for an opportunity for folks to be aware that this event permit was submitted this far in advance and to have more than a few hours of notice to communicate with City Council.
Okay, so that helps me, right? So it really is that since this hasn't been on the agenda, there wasn't a long time for people to see that this is happening, and so we haven't gotten a lot of responses from downtown. I can appreciate that. I don't think it will hurt the event to wait, and I think, I mean, I will say that we have in the past, so when this first event came, I have been really impressed with the event organizers and their adaptability. I think the first year it fell on Mother's Day, and there was a huge, and I think they did a grace and understanding, and then reached out to businesses. So I feel like that there has been really good dialogue all along with businesses. Last year I think was a particularly good year. We didn't actually hear anything. This year now we have heard something, so maybe some more dialogue needs to happen. But I, like Steve, don't want it to be read in any way that we don't support this event, or for me that I don't support on Water Street. I can hear you in saying we need businesses time to see that this is the date and it's happening, to see if there's any other things we need to know about before it. So I'm okay postponing it.
Are you seconding the motion then by Johanna?
I'll second it.
The motion was for 3 months, is that? Okay.
Okay, motion by Bergen, seconded by Neal. Roll call.
Bergen,
Aye.
Neal,
Aye.
Mislinich,
Aye.
Zittergruen,
No.
Whittle,
Aye.
sorry, did I skip Chisel again? I'm sorry. Chisel.
No. Am I invisible with a good shirt on? One of my old crappy t-shirts next week.
I'm having to do some note amending on the fly here, so I apologize. Start with Parker.
No.
4-3.
Motion passes 4-3. To table. All right, item 7.
I think we still need to act on the, did we?
Yeah, we did.
Oh, we did? Okay.
We approved the first part, and then we went back to J. So we're good. Correct?
Correct.
All right, item 7.
We removed J from the consent agenda.
Correct.
Yep, and then now it's been tabled.
And we tabled it.
It's tabled. I thought the tabling failed.
No,
It'll pass for it.
Oh, I thought it failed 4-3. I'm sorry, I counted wrong in my head.
but it'll come back in 3 months.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah,
That's
so
great.
at the end of the
That's
summer
great.
it'll be back.
That's great.
All right, item 7, conduct public hearing for fiscal year 2026 amendment.
This is the second amendment that we're doing for the fiscal year. Again, it is basically the timing of the projects. The largest one is with the airport under Public Works. Then the next one with community and economic development. Again, the majority of that is the transfer of the American Recovery Funds into the general fund to pay for the projects that we had approved. And then there also have to be let me see here, they have to be also part of the transfers. Just a lot of moving parts this year, but we have a lot of projects going on, and so there's been a lot of transferring funds and everything. So it's basically timing. It's nothing necessarily any projects that we're adding onto it.
Thank you, Carrie. At this time, I will open the public hearing for fiscal year 2026 amendment. Speak now, forever hold your peace. All right, hearing none, seeing none, we'll close that. Item 8, consider resolution approving fiscal year 2026 amendment.
I move for approval.
Second.
Okay, motion by Chisel, seconded by Zittergruen. Any further discussion? Roll call.
Chisel.
Aye.
Zittergruen.
Aye.
Bergen.
Aye.
Whittle.
Aye.
Neal.
Aye.
Parker.
Aye.
Mislinich.
Aye.
Passes unanimously. Item 9, conduct public hearing on amending Title 16 subdivisions of Decorah Municipal Code regarding performance bond, Section 16.04.200. We need any
Okay, so
background.
public hearings required prior to the consideration of an ordinance that amends the city's zoning code. Public hearing was set at the May 18th council meeting and published in the June 4th edition of the Decorah Leader with no written comments or objections. No written comments or objections have been received at this time. The ordinance changes one word simply, that the proposed ordinance would allow for the developer from the acceptance of a final plat with a financial assurance. Instead of 3 years, it would allow for 5 years. So if you remember this, while it stems around, I want to be very deliberate in this distinction. While this stems around the discussion on the Mossman second subdivision and the sidewalks, the timing of the sidewalks being installed, this would allow for those sidewalks to be installed with the individual homes being constructed for the first 5 years. And if vacant lots exist at the end of 5 years, the sidewalks must be installed, or we can pull this performance bond and install them ourselves at the end of year 5. So that's why this path was chosen, but this is an ordinance, so this would apply to all subdivisions moving forward.
All right, at this point, I will open the public hearing on amending Title 16 subdivisions. Any comments? Hearing none, seeing none, I will close the public hearing. Item 10, consider ordinance amending Title 16 subdivisions of the Decorah Municipal Code regarding performance bonds, Section 16.04.200, first reading.
I'd move for approval of the
Second.
first reading.
Okay. Motion by Chisel, seconded by Neal. Any further discussion?
I just have a question for Travis,
Mhm.
and general question about subdivisions informs it. I know that oftentimes when subdivisions are being developed, some potential builders choose to, purchase 2 lots and leave one as a side yard. And if that happens, is the way that this is written going to ensure that the side yard is also paved, or are we going to wait for 5 yards for that to happen? Like, I'm just curious how that works.
Mhm. So if they would not pave it at the time of the initial home construction, so let's say I buy 2 lots up there, but I identify only 1 lot as my building permit application, I'm required to have that sidewalk from property line to property line. If I don't indicate the other lot as part of my overall site plan, if I buy 2 and I identify both lots as part of my site plan, it's going to be required at the time my building permit's pulled. This 5-year will be the catch-all for if I did not indicate that second lot at the end of year 5, we can make sure that it gets placed. Otherwise, we can pull the performance bond on the developer.
Thank you.
Roll call.
Chisel?
Aye.
Neal?
Aye.
Zittergrun?
Aye.
Whittle?
Aye.
Parker?
Aye.
Miscellaneous?
Aye.
Bergen?
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously. Item 11, conduct public hearing on proposed plans and specifications, estimate of cost, and proposed form of contract for the construction of the Decorah Athletic Field Lighting Project. Travis, you want to give some background on that?
Yep. So I'll give the background, items 11 and 12 together, 11 being the public hearing, 12 the actionable item. Public hearings required prior to the consideration of a vertical infrastructure project with estimated costs over $206,000. This public hearing was set at the May 18th City Council meeting, published in the June 4th edition of the Decorah Leader, with no written comments or objections received at this time. The proposed project is for the installation of lighting for the 8 pickleball courts and 2 of the ball diamonds, along with bringing power to the site and other ancillary electrical work. The city received 2 bids, with the lowest responsible bidder being Qualite Sports Lighting, LLC, out of Hillsdale, Michigan, with a bid of $611,406, which was $193,594, or 24% below the engineer's estimate of $805,000. Do want to note this was an approved equivalent to the initial bid spec was Musco Lighting. And so if you don't go with that bid spec, you have to provide the engineering documents that show Qualites sport lighting that they're providing is an approved equivalent. And that process was vetted through ISG, and they do view it as an approved equivalent.
Quick question, will the other two diamonds be stubbed out so at some point the poles can be put in and push the wires through? We're gonna have conduits running along the fall lines?
So we've got conduit under the concrete paved portions, but in talking with Marceau Electric, who's the sub for the current phase, what we'll call phase one bid, he actually advised against running any conduit that's not going to be actually constructed on, because then you'd have to pigtail both of all your conduits up and already know exactly where you were going to be putting that lighting, and you'd have to do secondary work. So he advised against any extra unless it was under concrete.
So if we lit the other two, it'd probably be cut and cover using the conduit that's like, they just trench out, or?
They would trench it out. Yeah, it would anything that is needed for conduit under paving is in place. That's actually in the initial bid package one. Anything, if fields 3 and 4 are built out for lights, the only additional conduit that'll be needed is stuff that can be open cut.
All right, at this point, any more questions? Sorry.
Are we in the public hearing?
Yeah, I'm going to do the public hearing right now. Correct. All right, I'm going to do the public hearing. I'm going to open the public hearing for the proposed plans and specifications, estimate of costs, and proposed form of contract for the construction of the Decorah Athletic Complex field lighting project. Any comments? Wade, you got a comment? No? Okay. All right, we're good. We're going to close the public hearing. Item 12, consider resolution approving proposed plans, specifications, estimate of cost, and proposed form of contract for the construction of the Decorah Athletic Complex field lighting project.
I'll make a motion that we accept the proposal form contract for the construction of the Decorah Athletic Complex field lighting project.
Second.
Question about, oh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
Question about just lighting. I know there was detail about the pickleball courts being on like a timer. And my understanding was that if I went and played pickleball at 5 in the morning, I would have the ability to be like, turn the lights on. And then they would time out at some point.
Field tennis courts.
So the park board can set those timelines. So that'd be a park rule.
Okay.
Or operation, depending on, I'd ask John to decide which one those are. But anyway, park board determines when those lights can be on, and it's all electric programming. So yes, we could essentially say that the lights can come on at 5 o'clock in the morning if we wanted to, and that they can be timer based, go over, push on. But if I go there at 3 in the morning, go to try and push and turn it on, they won't light up. So we can set that within the system itself.
Okay. And then what about ball field lights? Will they only be on in use when we have play on the field?
That would be the assumption, yes. That's all, again, electric programming. So we can even set, if I remember, Mark, we can even set those specific to only administrative users to turn those on.
Yeah, there's going to be controls that we have access to, and that's in the bid and what's been accepted to have that option.
We could offer a service where we let people pay to turn them on for marriage proposals, or
well, yeah. So I'm asking questions just because in our sustainability plan we have some goals set around sky light and dark skies, and I just want us to encourage in new places we're putting lights where there aren't lights that they're on when we need to use them and not affecting people's that live across the road. And I am a fan of the Ivy and Bean books and am dreaming about doing stargazing in the middle of the ball field, and I would like it to be dark to do that.
Thanks, Johan. I think protecting our night sky is important too when we're putting new lights out there, and for public safety as well. It's I think often useful for public safety partners to know when ball diamonds are in use by the presence of lights. But if the lights are there on all the time, then there's no sense of what's going on over there. Travis, I've got a question about this, and I'm pretty sure I know the answer, but this isn't coming from property tax dollars.
Correct. This is part of the TAC grant application, the hotel motel tax revenues, the net proceeds from the land sale. This is, why am I drawing? All the private fundraising that's going on, still going on, that has raised over what are we now at, Mark? 1.6? Yeah.
Yeah, and all that to say how grateful I am, and I hope all of us are, that we're adding lighting to a field, which was always a stretch goal when we were dreaming of this plan years ago, and that doesn't happen without a lot of people pitching in, from economic development to staff to private donors to the fundraising committee and a lot of other people as well. The county who came on board with a show of support, the Iowa Economic Development Authority. This is really a big win for Decorah voters, and especially when we're not dipping into property tax dollars to create this amenity that's going to serve sports enthusiasts for years to come. So thanks to everyone who made this happen.
It feels a little bit like we have our own field of dreams here. Maybe we should market it as such.
Hopefully without the scary ghosts.
All right, any other comments? Roll call.
Neal?
Aye.
Chisel?
Aye.
Whittle?
Aye.
Parker?
Aye.
Ms. Linich?
Aye.
Bergen?
Aye.
Zittigren?
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously. Item 13, consider resolution setting a public hearing on R5 Planned Unit Development District Preliminary Plan and request for rezoning of 300 Iowa Highway 9 former Sunflower site.
Okay, so this is setting a public hearing. Usually we put resolutions setting public hearings in the consent agenda, but this one's a little bit more involved. This is the City of Decorah's first PUD request. So this isn't just a rezoning application. This includes the preliminary plan that's included in Dropbox for council's review. So it essentially sets a public hearing on both the rezoning request as well as the preliminary plan included in the council packet. So again, City Code Section 17.84.020 requires that upon receipt of this application for rezoning a preliminary plan for an R5 PUD, Planning and Zoning Commission shall review and make recommendation to the council. The council then, after public hearing, may approve or disapprove of the preliminary plan and request for rezoning as reported, or may require such changes as are necessary to preserve the intent and purpose of this title to promote public health, safety, and the general welfare. Again, after setting a public hearing. The proposed development includes 30 residential units, including duplexes, townhomes, and cluster homes throughout the site. The infrastructure, street infrastructure, would be privately owned. The underground water and sewer, stormwater infrastructure, publicly owned. So it would be required to be built to our specifications. Planning and Zoning has recommended the PUD and the preliminary plan to council with no contingencies.
I move the resolution setting the public hearing.
I second.
Okay, motion by Zittigren, seconded by Neal. Any further discussion or questions?
I just want to say this is a fantastically innovative, awesome way to think at housing with lots of pieces coming together. So thanks to the partners, thanks to city staff for all the work that you've been doing to make this reality. So thanks.
Agreed. Any other comments? All right, roll call.
Zittigren.
Aye.
Neal.
Aye.
Parker.
Aye.
Ms. Linich.
Aye.
Bergen.
Aye.
Chisel.
Aye.
Whittle.
Aye.
All right. Passes unanimously. Item 14, discussion and possible action regarding last mile delivery facilities. All right. First and foremost, I just want to thank our members of P&Z, and I also apologize for not being at the joint meeting. I was on vacation. I did get caught up, I think, a little bit on what happened. So I do want to thank P&Z and council for meeting, for all that time and effort that P&Z put into this. With that being said, I believe that P&Z's proposal does put up the appropriate guardrails to make this work in our downtown C3 district. And if anyone, is found to be egregious, any of violations, the Board of Adjustment does have or does not have to issue permit. And if that said entity does not do what they said they were going to do, the city manager can revoke the permit. Just a few of my thoughts on the matter. Travis, I think, gave 3 pretty solid kind of actions or not taking action, 3 possible options, I guess, we could discuss. And I think the quickest way to not end up talking in circles here for an hour would be to maybe just start out with who believes that Amazon hubs have a space in our C3 district or not.
Can I ask some questions?
Absolutely.
Okay, sorry. I actually have a few questions.
Sure.
So I want to know, in the current iteration, what happens if more than 4 people apply for a permit? So right now, my understanding is if we pass this, people will have to apply for a permit. Well, what happens if somebody's just been waiting to see how this unfolds and they're like, well, I want to do this. So how do we know, how are we going to approve permits and what's the process for that?
Mm-hmm. So let's say this gets approved and somebody has been waiting to see how this plays out and an application is received at the same time the 4 existing. So we end up with 5 applications are received. The Board of Adjustment may only grant 4. So in that scenario, they would be responsible with evaluating the 5 applications and awarding the 4 that best meet the criteria spelled out in the conditional use permit section of that proposed ordinance.
Are we allowed, could we put some stipulations on the permit? So for example, could we say that first priority should go to delivery hubs that are also return centers? Could we say that a priority happens if they have a backside receiving area? So I'm curious, could we put some stipulations on what a priority would be for permits?
I would say maybe the initial onset, because where I see that there's potential difficulties is once, based on the way the ordinance that P&Z worked on, that's, we'll call it the current version. Just stick with me so we can refer to it as the current version. Once 4 conditional use permits are issued, nobody else, so let's say one of those accepts returns, the other 3 don't, well then a 5th one applies and says, I'm going to accept returns. Board of Adjustment cannot consider that application.
But if we had a priority, they could.
Not,
I mean, we
well,
can't.
we would have to consider revoking one of the existing.
Oh, but I'm saying that if 5 apply and 2 of them have return, which we know is probably not likely, but let's say that 5 apply and 2 do have returns, they could award to those 2, and then someone else who may currently be doing it wouldn't get a permit.
And that's where I'm saying at the initial onset, I could see doing that easily enough. Where that's really going to become difficult is as this exists, a year from now, and we have 4 permits that are issued, not all of them are accepting returns, and somebody puts forward another one that says, I'm going to accept returns. Board of Adjustment cannot consider that application based on the way this current proposal reads because 4 have already been issued.
Right, but let's say 2 people apply and there's 1 opening. So we could, I guess I would like to see some parameters on priorities. Because one of the things that I struggle with as I contemplate this is you can't take the personal out of the discussion. And of course, there isn't a business downtown that I don't value and love. But I also have to look at the overarching, like, what is it that we're trying to create in a downtown? And how do we make this fair? And so one of the ways I do that is I think about not individual businesses or anybody doing this, is like, what would we want in our downtown? But this particular issue has been really hard because we already have it in our downtown now, right? It's not like we just have a blank slate. So I'm trying to think of some compromising ways, but in order for my own personal integrity, I feel like there has to be this is what's required of an application. And there are priorities, because to me, the priority is community-driven commerce in our downtown. And that if we allow, and I think that's why P&Z said 4 hubs, right? Because they're not trying to turn our downtown into a sort of transportation and dissemination district, right? We actually really want commerce going on. And so how do we then tailor these permits to say, all right, we want to prioritize hubs that are also people bringing things back, another service, or to limit the Water Street traffic, right? Or the Water Street, not traffic, but unloading and loading. Priority would be given if you have a alley and back, that's easier on all the other businesses downtown. But my other question when I think about the 4 has to deal with how did they come up with 4? And I tried to go through P&Z and watch them deliberate. And if the idea is that we're trying not to have our whole downtown turn into a dissemination and delivery service, I struggle with the fact that they're concentrated on one block right now. You know, we're not saying 1 per block downtown. We're really saying these 4 businesses have them. Good luck to you. You guys did it. You got it. And that seems detrimental to any other business that maybe wanted to do it and didn't do it because maybe they thought this wasn't possible. So I'm really grappling with this, and I have been, and I understand this is why it's taken so long for P&Z, but these are the questions and things that I grapple with, because it does seem like we're saying we're going to have 4 because that's how many businesses currently have it. So essentially we're going to make an ordinance to help those 4 businesses at perhaps the detriment to the businesses who don't want it downtown because it's hurting their business the way that they're operating right now. And so this feels a little bit like we're picking and choosing businesses. That is hard for me to do as a council person. And so I'm trying to figure out, so how do we make an ordinance that isn't picking and choosing businesses? Or how do we do the both and? These are just things that are going around in my mind here. And I'll turn it over to someone else, but that's what I'm really struggling with.
So can I just get a show of hands of people who are opposed to having it in the C3?
Okay, I'm gonna have to make another disclaimer here,
Okay.
Andy. I'm not, so if you're asking me, am I opposed to having it in the C3, that's a loaded question for me, because I would like the downtown Water Street district to no longer be part of the C3. I think our current C3 district has great places for hubs. They're not on Water Street. That's a very different question. And so when I left the P&Z meeting, which is why while frustrating, I know to P&Z, and I apologize because they've spent so much time on this, it was helpful for me as a council person to be able to dialogue with them and hear a little bit of pushback from them, because this is a really difficult issue that I've been thinking about for months. So I can't separate the two. I was hoping we would have a discussion about what does our Water Street look like and what does our C3 look like. I think that in some of the C3, hubs make sense. Hubs do not make sense on Water Street. But I feel for the 4 businesses that have it and that they have been doing this for 18 months. And so I wanted to sort of give a way out, which I heard on P&Z, which is essentially we pass this, then we really think about our downtown district and what should be there compared to the rest of the C3 and loosen some of the requirements in the whole C3 as we maintain the integrity of our downtown, in which case the businesses that have it now have a legal non-conforming use permit. And to me, that's the ultimate compromise. But yes, I would raise my hand in terms of I don't think they should be on Water Street, but I think that there are areas in the current C3 where they should be.
Yeah, that's me too. When I rose my hand, I don't think they should be on Water Street or on the 0 setback side streets that adjoin Water Street. But I do think there are plenty of places in the C3 where this would be a very appropriate use. And I think that's shown in historic wisdom of there being delivery hubs in our C3, but not on Water Street.
Yeah, and I agree. And I also, Emily, honor the synergy that you see in making a change to the C3 district and this conversation. I think that those of us that were at P&Z realized, at least I was realizing, that going down that route is a commitment to lengthening a process that is already sort of embarrassingly long. And so not to disagree with you about the importance of separating the C3 districts, I am wondering, I would encourage council to come to a decision that would let us determine what our code says or doesn't say and enforce it about delivery hubs. And that might mean that it is no C3 until that district gets split, in which case P&Z could recommend adding a new use to C, pick a new number.
Yeah. And I think that's where we differ. I do differ a little bit. I sort of am willing. I mean, I want to hear from other council people for sure. That's why I didn't like your. I mean, that's why I'm just not willing to raise my hand yet.
Sure.
Right?
I just wanted to know.
Because I'm still. I need to have conversation to process. I don't come here knowing how I'm going to vote, especially on an issue like this. Sometimes I 100% know I'm going to vote. Issue like this, no. That's why I went to P&Z. I do think we live in a small town, and I have a loyalty to the businesses downtown and the businesses that are currently operating as hubs. And so I'm not willing to make an action that will essentially, I think, I'm going to say it out loud. I guess what I'm saying is I am sort of willing to say, all right, let's pass this P&Z thing, although I really do want to see a priority outlined in terms of permitting priority. And I want to see some type of guideline for how long delivery trucks can be on Water Street. Like hearing, GameStop having a delivery truck in the back for an hour, that's no big deal. They have an alley. The 400 block where there are, Pete said it was sometimes an hour.
No, the packages inside.
Sorry.
No, it's okay. So we sometimes have packages inside for about an hour.
Oh, I thought you meant the delivery truck was there for an hour.
The delivery truck is out back for about 5 minutes, and then we pull our truck up or whatever vehicle, and we load up for 10 minutes or so, just because our vehicles are smaller than theirs. So yeah, no, the delivery truck, the milk truck is there for about 5-10 minutes max. Our vehicle is there for 10 minutes or 10 to 15 minutes as we load stuff up and then collect all the little things that we need to grab that we're required to
Okay,
go out and do our
thanks for
deliveries.
clarifying that. I think what becomes the problem is that 400 block where there are 3. And that 400 block doesn't have an alley for 2 of them. So they take up parking space at the detriment to the other businesses there. And not just parking spot, but the perceived blockage, right? And I think that, as I said, I have a commitment to our downtown businesses that are currently in existence. And so I want to do right by all of them. And so I would like to think of some type of compromise that could be made with those current businesses that doesn't take up Water Street, especially, I know the winter season was really hard for parking. Now I'm thinking out loud, but if we can somehow add some ideas to the P&Z code to help with that, that would be important.
I would soften my vote, Emily. I'm trying to reflect on what you're saying.
Yeah.
I would soften my stance on this if we were to consider amending the code to require alley access to participate as a hub. I'm seeing Brett nod. So maybe that's a way forward. I know that that's not satisfying news to everyone who's participating in the program currently, but it seems to me a lot of the problems that are being raised by adjoining businesses, by community members who are concerned about the current operation of the hubs, who don't think that it contributes to the downtown's vitality, have to do with the ways in which some of the hub locations rely on taxpayer-provided infrastructure like parking lots, sidewalks to use as loading zones, and not just once a week, but 7 days a week, 300 plus days a year. No business, even the ones without alley access downtown, receives deliveries that often. This is a different kind of use than is elsewhere in our downtown, in our Water Street area. And I think that's we don't limit the number of souvenir shops or the number of ice cream parlors or the number of restaurants. We don't do that because we actually know that those things all contribute to overflow economic growth, to a virtuous cycle of stopping downtown to run an errand, popping next door to grab an ice cream cone, going next door to look at some shirts or grab a game from GameStop, and then going and getting another ice cream cone because you're hungry again. That's the kind of virtuous cycle that smart economic policy creates. That's why people come to Decorah from all over, because we've made a lot of good decisions to create those things happening in our downtown, that dynamic, vital, walker-friendly environment. And I don't think that turning over large swaths of our downtown economy to the moving of boxes in and the moving of boxes out is a great step forward for our community. I think it would make our downtown weaker and not stronger in the long run. And I think we have to think about the long run and not just how we're hearing from the businesses. I do want to say though, like I said, alley access to me feels really important. If we're going to move forward, I hope we move forward with that. Elsewhere in the C3, if we're able to split that zone and do different uses, that I would move forward with something like that. I'd be willing to on board. I think there's also a lot of other issues that we all agree on. Everyone on P&Z, everyone on council, everyone on staff. I haven't heard anyone say we shouldn't have these hubs anywhere in town except for the C3 on Water Street and the adjoining zero setback, side streets. So I'd love to see that come to council as soon as possible. Let's permit them elsewhere, even if we can't come to a decision about how to permit them on Water Street as effectively as possible. Let's do it right away. The other thing I think we all agree on is that the return drop-off aspect of this is a convenient use that is very much in line with what would make sense on Water Street for our downtown economy. So I know that Amazon doesn't want it that way, that they want everywhere that accepts returns to also be a delivery hub, but that's not my problem. That's Amazon's problem. So I think we should say, hey, if you want to run a return service out of your business and you can find a retail chain that accepts that, that's great. That's a good use. And I think we could all agree on that right away. So many of the emails I get say, it's very convenient to drop off my returns at the soda shop. Well, it's convenient for me too. I want that to keep happening, and I think we should permit it. What isn't convenient is 4 or 5 cars parking in front of a few different businesses almost every day of the year, and drivers who only park, go in, get boxes, get back in their cars, and drive away. That doesn't create a vibrant downtown. That creates traffic, noise, congestion, and I don't support it. Now, that said, maybe I'm in a minority here, and either way, if there's enough council members who want to move forward and pass what planning and zoning sent to us, I encourage us to do that as soon as possible also, because our businesses deserve an answer from their leaders.
Steve, I heard you say 2 things, and I'm wondering that may get to my wanting to have priorities. Would you be willing to support it with alley access and or drop-off capability? So the business is actually really a drop-off Amazon as well.
That's a great question. I think I would. I think I'd like to see the number of permits still be capped, though.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
No, it would stay the same, except that you could get a permit if you had alley access and or you had the drop-off. And the only reason I say that, I think P&Z originally had that stipulation on there. When I heard that, I liked that you also had to be a drop-off. Well, then Amazon says we only want 1 drop-off. Maybe Amazon will change. They want us to change. Maybe they'll change. But I guess in my mind, those 2 things, nobody's going to get everything they want, right? The businesses that they feel like this is hurting them, they're not. I just sort of feel like there's got to be some compromises here. So I'm willing to say alley access or you're a drop-off location. And ultimately we change the C3, C6, whatever we do there, which I think will alleviate a lot of this, and 4 permits. I don't know what we can do about the, 1 per block or something, but that seems messy and will take a long time. But
I'd like to hear from the other 4 council members, maybe where they're at right now.
Yeah. First off, I want to thank P&Z for deliberating on this for so long. I know it's been a pain in the butt for every party associated with the discussions, be they small businesses or P&Z. I'm pulled in a couple different directions. Having had a small business downtown, I understand that it's a struggle and every little thing helps. I've also heard from small businesses that don't want it, and I understand where they're coming from as well. Big picture, in my mind, I think that a lot of rural America or shops in general in the United States worldwide are struggling as a result of entities such as Amazon and Walmart and things like that. So it makes me shudder that we are now looking to them as a solution to this problem, being as they are like one of the biggest drivers of this problem to begin with. So I like what P&Z has come to. Right now, I'm leaning more towards the motion to reconsider so that we can discuss it over the next 3 readings. But in thinking about this, I definitely don't want to harm the small businesses that are relying on this now, but I also don't want to open the door for the future for Amazon to kind of get in and work to develop more, because I can see that being kind of an insidious thing that they have shown historically to want to move into any markets that they can. Yeah, I don't want to, I don't want to see them as the solution to the problem that they have helped create, because that is dangerous in how we move forward as small businesses in an already struggling market. I particularly don't usually give much credit to parking, wanting to see more of a pedestrian thing, but I know that that's not where we're at culturally right now, and I've heard from different small businesses that, have talked specifically about parking. It's one thing if UPS drops off a package every so often, but in the wintertime, holiday season, you have an Amazon vehicle dropping off stuff, but then you also have 4 vehicles showing up to distribute all of it. So again, I sympathize with the small businesses. I know that if it's going to help us maintain the business that we started out of a passion, then it is what it is. I understand that, but also, man, Amazon. It's not just the reliance on Amazon from the business point. It's also us as people, as consumers. We're all looking for easy and convenient. So it's just as much of the consumer's fault. Well, I'm not gonna say that. It's also the consumer's fault. But I mean, there's got to be some kind of pushback on Amazon. We were told a while back that we should trust in the trickle-down effects, that what's good for the wealthy is good for us. But now you have Jeff Bezos owning more money than God, while we talk about how we can't maintain our small businesses, like we can't survive. So, not to pick on small businesses, as a previous small business owner goes, I sympathize, man. I know that it's hard, very hard, but I just want it to be noted going forward that it shouldn't be seen as a solution to the problem, because it is one of the catalysts to the problem in the first place. So,
all right, thanks, Cody. Brent, Christopher?
I can go ahead next. So obviously we have 3 defined paths, especially when it comes to the last mile delivery facilities. And I honestly really want to be straightforward to the point where I kind of stand on this right now. To the point that Steve made, I do believe we owe the public an answer. This is definitely not the easiest subject matter. But we do know that a significant amount of time has been spent on this already by staff, planning and zoning, and even community members who have shown up and engaged in the conversation. So regardless of where we land with this conversation point tonight, I really do firmly believe that we owe a decision, not continued delay. Overall, I'm open to further discussion. I think some of the specific points that have been raised tonight are of value, particularly the point that was made about alley access, and we've had some conversations on split zones and adjusting things in that regards, and I think that's a valid point as well. And they both really do have merit, and I think there are 2 key things that we can work through and actually are worth working through. Overall, I think too, for me, and I've had this conversation point, with myself and other community stakeholders as this conversation has continued, but and I think somebody brought it up to the point tonight as well, but what does a vibrant downtown look like? And I think on the premise for all of us, that's the first question that always pops into our brain. And obviously we're all gonna have, a different vision, a different idea of what that's gonna look like. And they're not always the same. But at the end of the day, I think what we really need to do is to have that decision and conversation that we are having now to support what that vision looks like. And I know at the end of the day, we're not going to be able to, make everybody happy. I think all of us knew that when we decided to come and sit up here. So unfortunately, that's the takeaway with every decision that we make up here. And it's something that always is a possibility. The one thing I will say, though, is as of right now, specifically with some of the points that have been made tonight, I'm leaning more towards option 3, especially just in the sense of some of the points that Emily has made, as well as Steve, just in regards to potential priority list or what can be defined within that scape. And I think at the end of the day, to some of the points that have been made, if we can establish those clear priorities up front, I think that's going to make this ordinance stronger in long run, especially as we progress towards this conversation. Finalizing, like I said, I'm just really open to the conversation because obviously there is a lot of moving parts, and regardless of what direction that conversation goes, I'm going to be honest. Like I said, I'm leaning towards option 3, but my mind isn't completely made up. Everybody has definitely made some great points this evening just in regards to things that we can amend or things that can change. And I think that's, an important part. Municipal government working at its wheels, like any government entity that does. And obviously we're here to have that conversation, to hear each other, and before we land on a definitive decision. And again, that's where I sit right now.
Actually, Emily, can I hear from Brent and Randy first?
Sure.
Thank you.
Well, I would lean into the motion to reconsider, but put the 2 caveats in that must have back alley, north or south alley access for drop-offs and pickups or loadings to alleviate trucks or taking up parking places out front for no commercial entity. I'm not sure if that's doable or not, and then limit the downtown C3 to 4 max. I mean, I don't know what other magic number, but then if there's other commercial districts on Montgomery or on Short Street, some of those businesses that would be interested, we should be able to reconsider them at some point in the future.
Okay. Brent?
I'm just going to say what just Randy just said.
Okay.
Yeah, pretty simple. I think it's okay. The C3, I definitely think that we need to prioritize back alley access, back alley drop off and pick up to make that.
And I just have a question for those. What about the drop off? Still has to have back alley, or do you want to say back alley or drop off? The only reason I say that is, of all the letters that and people of support, that were not the businesses, it was about people actually valuing that, like, oh, I'll go downtown to drop off my package. So, and they'll do other things, right? It's the idea of this community-driven commerce that I think is important.
My understanding from, My understanding from Travis's long ago P&Z questions is that the return service is an allowable use. It has been offered by other businesses in Decorah without a problem. And my understanding from the Amazon representative is that that is an Amazon decision that we have literally no control over. So I'm just I'm wondering in our truly it's a difficult conversation to be having. And so is the naming something about a package return service as an allowable use in C3 really to make us feel better? And does it actually change anything?
I think
materially?
I think it is actually a really good commerce thing, right? So I mean, in my mind, if it's already allowed in the C3, I guess that's fine. But I guess what I was going to propose, which is what I was going to ask, I really do think I don't want to draft something new. I'm just trying to figure out, can we change P&Zs a little bit? And then maybe it has to go back to them. But I guess what I would add to P&Zs is that permits can only be issued, as Randy said, right, to businesses that have back alley access, or businesses that also offer drop-off, package drop-off. What do you call it? What's the official name? Returns.
I could get behind that.
I mean, so that's what I would almost make a motion.
My question there then, once they accumulate so many packages and you have a truck picking them up, so you're blocking the front again? Water Street?
But if that happens one time a week instead
Well,
of
I
every
know, I
day.
know.
Yeah, I mean, my thought is that happens one time a week.
Very few people
Or,
here remember back in
yeah.
90s when we redid Water Street. Prior to that, we redid North Alley, and the deliveries were supposed to come through there. And when Water Street was redone, for whatever reason, we got lax, and we had started allowing deliveries again on Water Street when they should have been on North Alley and South Alley. Delivery trucks were not supposed to be on Water Street, period. Any delivery trucks blocking traffic. So that would be another P&Z thing, though, or something that we need to discuss further.
Okay.
But for this issue, I think that if we can start there.
Okay.
Can I ask a quick question to staff? Travis, no? No,
No,
you're shaking
I'm
your head
sorry.
no.
No, my eyes are darting.
Okay.
My eyes in my head.
You're like, no.
Way to stand
no,
your
that's
ground,
not
Travis.
Yeah. Nope.
Could you clarify whether Johanna's sort of recollection of the state of things in terms of returns already being a permitted use in C3 is accurate as a zoning officer?
So close, but not quite. Not a permitted use because it wasn't viewed as a use at all. So, for example, ACE. If you were to take your FedEx or UPS package and give it to them and they sent it with their UPS FedEx package, it wasn't viewed as a use. Similar to retail sales where they're shipping products out with an online marketplace. They're selling their own package and they're sending out via UPS or accepting their own deliveries for merchandise retail. Those aren't viewed as uses either. They're ancillary to the, I can't remember the exact verbiage used about, it's an ancillary to the principal use of operation. So not quite a separate permitted use, but just it wasn't viewed as a use at all.
So this has already been permitted behavior is operating returns as a auxiliary use or yeah. Okay.
Correct.
Thank you for the answer. A second question. If we require not only back alley access, but back alley use in this, is that something that we can do? Because I could imagine, hey, I've got if I go down some creaky stairs and like through 13 rooms full of cobwebs, like I've got a door that I can wedge open. That's a back alley access. I think we would want, if this is the direction the council goes, I think that we would do this anticipating that would actually be the mechanism by which boxes moved in and out. Can we require that?
Short answer, yes. Longer answer, if you want to do it broad spectrum, more to Randy's comments before, we do have a code provision in there in city code that says they should use it's not as enforceable that it's not a shall, we'll say.
Can the permits be issued on a time delimited basis? Can we say we'll issue them and then the Board of Adjustments will reconsider every 3 or 5 years? I'm just wondering about that as a possible way to ensure that this doesn't evolve in a way that creates lots of unintended consequences that make things worse.
Well, my hope is, Steve, that we resolve that by changing the zoning of downtown, and then anyone who has a permit currently would then become legal nonconforming, right? So eventually we wouldn't actually be worry about Water Street in this at all. So, I mean, while I would have normally pushed to we should have permits renewable, right? But I'm actually hoping we solve this in another way.
I hear you, and I agree with you on
Okay.
my long-term plan, but I'm curious in the short term to solve the problem now while we wait for that process, could we put a time limit on this permitted use?
We'd have to change, there's a duration section in the current version out there that, let's see here.
And this
So
is
it's they have a year to get it up in operation, and then it exists. That permit's valid as long as they continue to operate it, unless I revoke it as a city manager because of an enforcement issue. They're not doing what they said they were going to do, or they stop operating for a year. So we can insert a duration in there that permits. I would set it that's a renewal, that they don't need to submit a new application, but Board of Adjustment must act on it every
5 years or whatever we just,
However long.
whatever. Okay. Then my suggestion to council, and I'm curious if this is enough to get a lot of votes or not, I'd like to know why, is we proceed with Randy's sort of suggestion that let's make this contingent on alley access and use. And I'd like to see it time delimited by 5 years. That's my personal thing. I don't know if you all are on board with that. And the last thing is I'd like to say that we also would be okay if you had off-street parking and use that instead. Which is just to say there are businesses in the C3 that don't have alley access, but they'd be fine hubs because they have their own facilities for delivery services. So I guess what I'm saying is if we're requiring alley access in the C3, we should also say or off-street parking. Does that make sense why I'm saying that? Okay.
Question that.
So like the parking lot
Process, the next step,
Public
what we do here, if we go with motion number 2 to reconsider, do we have to reset the public hearing?
we never have set one.
correct. It has not been set. So
Okay.
if the council wants to go that route, now all the discussion I've heard up here includes a substantial change to the draft. And so it's no longer a motion to reconsider. We're on option 3.
Okay, all right.
Can we set a public hearing or do we have to send it to P&Z first?
Got to send it to P&Z first.
Okay.
I-
Then I would make the motion to send it
Right.
back to P and Z with the provisions that we talked about, back alley, north
Or
and
off-street
south alley, or off-street parking for deliveries and pickup.
I can second that motion.
loading.
No more than 4 with 5-year windows.
I'm fine with that too. In the downtown C3.
Yes.
So we can expand to other parts of the community.
At the same time, can we add it as allowable use to
C2.
the M and Cs?
Yeah.
Clarification, not in your residential home.
So Randy,
Everybody.
are you nodding to that? So Johanna's saying this is also should just be allowable in C1, C2,
Yeah.
M1, M2. Yeah.
No
Mm-hmm.
R, no Rs.
Everyone's nodding. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so please, just for the sake of both Carrie and I, and John, who's going to help with this.
I'm scribbling away over here.
Right. All right. So for the C3 conditional use permit, to be eligible, the applicant must use rear alley access or off-street parking. Accept returns. Was that part of your motion, Randy, or not?
I didn't hear that.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure so that that doesn't come up again later. Still the limit of 4.
In the downtown C3.
Yep.
5 years.
Every 5 years, reconsidered by Board of Adjustment.
And while he's typing, with that 5-year expiration, does that mean, I'm just wondering the mechanics of that. Does that mean if somebody else has been waiting for the opportunity to have an Amazon hub, but because there's 4 in existence, other people can also apply at the same time?
Personally, I think we're going to clean it up by then, right? Because right now we're saying 5. We're only saying 4 in the C3 right now.
I think it's like a reapplication requirement at 5-year.
Yeah.
So
Application.
then it's then it's as if there's a vacancy and anybody can apply?
Yeah, and then the Board of Adjustments can earn their money. I mean, they can make the decision at that point.
The reason I'm not is I can take or leave the 5 years only because I think we're gonna have to clean up the C3 area anyway, right? Because
Commerce is
commerce is changing for one. We don't know what Amazon hubs are going to do. I'm a little concerned, right, in terms of like Amazon's delivering 50 packages a day. What happens if they want to scale up to 1,000? Are we going to? So I mean, we need to be we need to be able to ebb and flow. I know. I'm just saying. Like I said, I'm hoping we're going to fix the C3 district in general. So
we have a comment here. Yeah, absolutely, sir. Please step to the microphone.
And so we just met with the Amazon rep last week, and one of the reasons they keep it to 50 packages on average per hub is the very thing you're concerned about. They don't want, people doing just Amazon in a store in the middle of town. So they're kind of trying to, we've asked for, send us more packages, but they typically won't do that. And the other thing is, and I understand, wanting to put a limit of 4, that's fine. But this is kind of a grueling job. It's 7 days a week. They give us 7 days a week that we deliver. They give us 7 days per year off with a few days, Christmas and a few other days off. So not just anybody's going to sign up for it. They've been actively recruiting people for 2 years now in Decorah. And what is it now? There's 4 or 5 of us now. 2 of them started and quit because it is so grueling. So obviously you'll want to put, some kind of limit on, but the thought that all of a sudden you're just going to get inundated with people delivering, same thing with returns to some respect, they don't pay very well for it. And one of the reasons we do it is to get people into our store. We're only 2 years old. People come in every day almost and say, oh, I didn't even know you guys were here. Well, that's worth more than the little bit we get paid for doing that. So that's why we do that. And with regards to the parking, I don't understand that. I honestly don't. So our trucks are there 7 days a week, typically 5 to 10 minutes. Unless we get one certain driver who's really slow, it might go out to 15 minutes. Every morning, they deliver the packages. And then UPS comes every day around 4:30 and picks up our returns. And, okay, I get it. You have an Amazon truck parked right there. And everybody complains about that. And I've said it, Travis isn't going to want to hear this again from me, but we still have that bike rack sitting there that seldom gets used except for on the weekends. So you complain about an Amazon truck that's creating money for downtown, but yet you have a bike rack sitting there for healthy people that can walk from a parking lot. Why do healthy people that ride bikes need to be in the middle of the block? I had a little old lady walk by one day and she had a t-shirt on. It said she was like 101 years old or something. And she went with her walker. I asked her if she needed help. She went with her walker and she walked all the way up past the bike rack to get in her car and go home. And those are the kind of people that need that parking spot or that yellow parking spot. People complain because sometimes somebody will park where the yellow is right out in front of Rod's store. And those are the kind of people that need that. They get out of their car, they get in their walker, and they'll go into one of the stores. But, that's fine if you want to make it about parking, but then let's not forget about the bike rack. So thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate your comment.
Thank you, sir.
I should say we've said thanks to a lot of folks about this, P&Z and others, but I'm also grateful for the patience and long suffering of downtown business owners who've been waiting for clarity and direction from a process that's probably felt frustrating. A local democratic government often moves very slowly, and there's a good reason for it. Like, you don't want it to move too quickly sometimes, but it's got to be frustrating. And I'm grateful to Rex and to the other speaker. Was that Steve? Is that Yeah, that's what I thought. So thanks y'all. Travis, another question about the motion as it currently sits. It says off-street parking. Do we, as a council, want to clarify, do we mean private parking or do we mean private and public parking?
So they couldn't use the
Well, they could use
parking lot at the end of the block, the old
What?
Montessori school there, old
that
Christian
somebody
Camera
should
building.
use it.
Yeah, that's kind of where I'm at too.
Yeah, why couldn't they park in the city parking?
Yeah, either one.
We just don't want them parking on Water Street, right?
That
The-
was my understanding.
I don't want them in the co-op, the parking lot next to the
No,
co-op.
no, we're
and
talking
then-
about at the end of the block on Christian Camera, old Montessori school.
I understand that, but those are both city parking
Right.
lots. So,
You don't want either of those.
I mean, how many asterisks do you want on this?
It's better to get it right now and not.
Public parking lots are fine.
I would agree.
I don't.
That's
I
what
do
they're
not
for,
think
is
it's
public.
appropriate to have the co-op parking lot be a loading and unloading.
I don't think
zone.
it can be. I don't think an Amazon truck could go into the co-op parking lot.
Could someone give me an example of a public? Can you think of any other public parking lot outside of the old Montessori Christian Camera building?
Which also I don't think trucks can't get in there either. Am I wrong? I mean, someone help me. Can trucks get into those two parking lots? Or is it where there's a will, there's a way?
I would say largely that, but
Okay, all
also
right.
a lot of the Amazon delivery, I believe it's van.
Yeah, it's a van. They could fit in there.
I mean,
I am not interested in. I think it needs to be private.
That's so I could tell that there was asymmetrical sort of assumptions about what we meant by parking spots, and I think it's good we're talking about it. I'd be okay with using city parking lots, but I don't want to create an entitlement to them. That if we decide there's a better use for them, I mean, it is a parking lot.
yeah, but so is the alleys. I mean, the alleys are public spaces too. So,
Okay, but if you
Sounds like a majority of us are all right with off-street parking
And using public parking lots.
and using public parking lots. Okay.
I just want to make sure there's
Sorry,
clarity
do
on the
we
motion.
have do we have a definition of a public parking lot in code as different from public street parking? Like in North Alley, there is parallel parking along that whole ride to me, which is the same as a parking on Water Street, and then there is like parking lot parking. I am reacting mostly to the effects of minutia in group decision making, and I would suggest simpler is
Like
better.
On-street or off-street parking? Like no on-street parking?
Yeah.
But you can
Curbside
off-street-
parking.
Yeah, you can off-street parking. It doesn't matter what the off-street is, public, private, but just no on-street parking.
Curbside parking. Is that what you mean?
Yeah, well, yeah. On-street parking would be curbside parking essentially.
yeah, except that I think this is why we really need to change the districts because if a hub winds up operating, well, let's say Fairway becomes a hub, or no, they would have a parking lot. I'm trying to think. Well, maybe Ace would become a hub. I guess they have a parking lot, so there I guess would be the one. I'm trying to think where else. The law firm on the corner there in the C3, right? And they want to park on Court Street, not on Water. True. I mean, I'm just trying to think of areas that are. To me, it's Water Street that we're trying to protect, but
Travis, is that the motion as you understand it then?
So I've got motion essentially as drafted with the caveats of must use rear alley access or off-street parking. Still the limit of 4. Reapplication every 5 years. So in that section 7 that talks about duration, that permit's valid for 5 years. Those are the 3 things I have written down. Do you have anything else that I didn't?
Can we? Yeah.
Correct. Yeah, that's the conditional use permit part. And then the other zones, C1, C2, M1, which allows M2 by extension, those are all by right okay as drafted. So, assuming if this vote passes procedurally, we'll make those changes. We'll send it to P&Z. They will have to set a public hearing on it. They'll hold said public hearing, consider it, send it back to council. If it passes, then 4 council members, simple majority, passes an ordinance. But again, it's an ordinance, 3 readings. If it does not, so if it goes back to P&Z and they say, nope, we don't like this, it still comes back to council, but each of those 3 readings now requires 5 out of the 7 to adopt.
Okay. Motion by Chisel, seconded by Parker. Any? Can you hold on a second?
Yes.
Actually. Did we have any further discussion? I'm going to let Rex go here. Does anyone else have anything else to say before we vote on that? No? Okay, Rex, did you want to say something quick?
Yeah, I just wanted some clarification on the 5-year reapplication. Would that essentially snuff out any downtown businesses if we then changed it so that no one in the downtown, in the Water Street area or historic district?
Oh, that's a good
right?
question.
So like if in 5 years we redistrict that, so that's the historic district, and then 5 years comes up, am I just done, or will I still be allowed, will there be a provision in there for me to reapply and be able to continue to operate that or not? That's my main, that's my question.
I looking at legal. I don't have a clue.
John?
If you put that 5-year expiration, no, it does. It would not allow a use to continue. That only applies if there is no expiration.
But they would have the 5 years.
They would. I would say they would have the 5 years. You couldn't take that away.
I think that's a good question, because I could imagine Rex or other business owners investing in shelving or a better access for the back or ramping and sure. And if you make those kinds of investments, you want to believe. Here's what I think though, and I'm just one council member up here. I'm not a majority, but I think if in 5 years it's operating well, it's working for you, and it's not too disruptive to adjoining businesses, there's reasonable neighbors up here who will look at the law and say, how can this work better? What happens tonight is not the final thing that's going to happen in this. So I'm just saying we can change things in 5 years if we need to.
Sure. All right, any further discussion? Roll call.
Chisel.
Aye.
Parker.
Aye.
Neal.
Aye.
Misselinich.
Aye.
Bergen.
No.
Zittergruen.
Aye.
Whittle.
Aye.
Motion passes 6-1. Item 15, consider resolution for setting the annual salary of city manager pay.
The resolution before you, this is part of city manager's contract, is that his pay is set by resolution. As of right now, he is making $161,160.51 annually. With his Tier 3 review, he would be eligible for the 3-year COLA, cost of living adjustment, and then the 2% step increase, which would bring it to $169,315.24 annually.
I move the resolution.
I'll second.
Okay. Motion by Zittergruen, seconded by Misselinich. Any further discussion?
I'll just say that our city manager's salary is being treated the same way as we treat all the other non-union staff salaries in the community this year, for the purposes of pay adjustments, that he is in the same matrix and everything. This isn't a unique or special decision. This is a choice to proceed with his contract the way that we chose to proceed with all of our staff's, non-union staff's contracts. Is that accurate to say? Yeah, I think so.
Correct.
Yep.
It's also justified with his performance and obviously the accolades that he's received. So
Manager of the year, city
Yes,
manager,
city
of
manager
the year.
right there, guys.
We need
Not
it in
gonna
the
lie, I saw
paper.
people walking towards the podium as I was like, oh no, here we go.
Yeah.
Any further discussion? Roll call.
Zittergruen?
Aye.
Misselinich?
Aye.
Parker?
Aye.
Bergen?
Aye.
Chisel?
Aye.
Whittle?
Aye.
Neal?
Aye.
All right, motion passes unanimously. Item 16, consider ordinance on amending Title 17 zoning of the Decorah Municipal Code sections 17.68.050, 17.72.050, and 17.76.050 regarding minimum lot widths, third reading.
I'd move for approval and adopt.
Second.
Okay. Motion by Chisel, second by Zittergruen. Any further discussion? Roll call.
Chisel?
Aye.
Zittergruen?
Aye.
Misselinich?
Aye.
Bergen?
Aye.
Whittle?
Aye.
Neal?
Aye.
Parker?
Aye.
All right, item 17, consider issuance of requests for proposals for building construction inspection services. Travis, you want to give a little background on that one?
Yes. So the city currently has a vacant position for code enforcement official, with the primary function of that being the building inspector. Staff's been exploring possibilities of contracting out the various duties of that position instead of filling the vacancy and trying to be as most cost efficient as possible. With this component being the primary function of that vacant position, this is the most important piece that if we can't contract this out, we should probably retain the position as it is in order to kind of round out the building inspector capacity. So this would be a request for proposals. So it would be upon those wanting to respond to it to propose fee structure, to propose how they envision serving as the City of Decorah contract building inspector. Proposals would be due Monday, July 6th at 4 p.m. We would then evaluate and consider as soon as Monday, July 20th.
I'll make a motion to call for the request for proposals on a building construction inspection service.
Second.
Thank you, Travis, for this.
Okay, motion by Neal, seconded by Chisel. Any further discussion? Roll call.
Neal?
Aye.
Chisel?
Aye.
Bergen?
Aye.
Zittergruen?
Aye.
Whittle?
Aye.
Parker?
Aye.
Misselinich?
Aye.
All right, item 18, board and commission vacancies. We've got a slew of them. Sustainability, tree board, historic preservation, human rights, planning and zoning, library board. A lot of people have got life things, moving. People are moving. People are got workloads that they're just life happens, right? So there's a variety of different reasons people have left, but we've kind of had a few lately. So if you know anyone interested, please encourage them to throw an application in. I've hit up a couple people who complain a lot because, do something about it, right? So, anyways, if you know somebody who complains a lot, challenge them. Okay.
Is it
Depending on it.
still is
I
it
mean,
is it still 2 open vacancies in sustainability, or is it just 1 now?
Ross filled the other one last
One,
It's just
one,
one.
Okay.
right?
Yep.
It's just one because Ross was that replaced that one. We thought we had it full, and then it was back to
Okay. And that is it my understanding that there's 3 on the library board right now?
nope,
Or is that-
2. Shannon Horton was on the
Oh, yeah.
consent agenda, so
Yep.
that was the last minute ad that we had on Friday.
Okay.
So yeah, it's just 2 there. One of them is the rural too, so that's important if you know anyone outside of the city limits. So one of those is a rural spot. All right. 19. Any other matters? All right. Motion to adjourn. Randy's on it.